Whether Biden comes, Clinton comes, Obama comes, Trump comes, it doesn't matter. They control 26% of the global GDP, 44% of the market capitalization, with just 4% of the population. And they do this simply because they believe in free enterprise. And it's the private sector which drives innovation, drives risk capital, drives the growth of the United States of America. I'm saying this because Europe had 30% share in global GDP, which has come down to 18%. So and falling fast, and it's going to come down faster. China was accelerating its pace, but it's been arrested, and India's share is now accelerating. We are still at about 3.4%, but it's going to accelerate in the days to come. So first and foremost, I think Indians must be absolutely clear, and all of us in this hall must be clear, that there is no substitute to economic growth. India must continue to grow at 9 to 10% per annum, year after year, year after year. All that these two gentlemen have spoken about has no meaning till India doesn't grow at 9 to 10%. And 9 to 10% means, and that's the vision Prime Minister said, that we must be a $30+ trillion economy. And that means that every Indian and every state of India must have the similar vision of scrapping rules, regulation, procedures, acts, and making India a simple place to do business in, because the lesson for the world is that you can grow only with free enterprise. It can't grow with government putting all restrictions, etc. That's number one point. Yeah. No, because you are so pro-leftist and sitting to the left, and all economists in India are only leftists, So first viewpoint is that there is no substitute to India growing. And it's the economic growth which will give you both the hard power and the soft power of India. The second is that international institutions were non-functional or dysfunctional. You have a scenario where the UN was non-functional and the Security Council has been dysfunctional because one of the Security Council members has been at a war with several countries. The second is, out of that is that this year, for instance, 70% of the growth, global growth, world is going to grow at 3.2%, but the global south is going to grow at 4%, 4.4%. And the developed world is going to grow at 1.8%, but global south is going to grow at 4.4%. And 70% of the growth this year is going to come from global south, and for the next 3 decades, according to IMF, middle and low income countries are going to contribute 70% of the global growth. And the reason for that is young demographics in Asia and Africa, whereas America has aged, Europe is aging, Japan has aged, all these countries have aged, they have huge dependency burdens, whereas there's young population in Asia and Africa. So if 70% of the world growth is going to come from here, you need institutions which were designed in the World War II by IMF and World Bank. You did not have a challenge of climate action then. You did not have a challenge of sustainable development goals then. And they were designed for the western part of the world. They were not designed for global south. You need to direct finances which the developed world gets at 2%, India gets at 9%, Africa gets at 16%, sub-Saharan countries get 22% rate of interest. You need institutions which will de-risk these countries and allow finances for climate and SDGs to flow into these countries. Otherwise, these countries will not be able to rapidly grow with a young population. And therefore, it's very important that these dysfunctional, non-functional, and malfunctioning institutions are put an end to. So I'm delighted that if Mr. Trump walks out of UN and Security Council is non-functional without India being there, it has no meaning. India is today the 5th largest economy. We've overtaken UK. Now UK is a member. Why should not UK vacate its place for India to take over there? And if India is going to overtake Germany and Japan to be a third largest economy, what kind of a Security Council is it without India being there in that Security Council? So India must find a place in that Security Council. Imagine Germany is not a member there. Japan is not a member in that security. So the structure which was designed for the post-World War II is totally outdated, it's irrelevant for today's world, and it's non-functional. And therefore, it's non-functional. And therefore, it needs to be dismantled and and to that extent, I'm totally in favor of what Mr. Trump is saying in terms of the multilateral order. He may be doing it for making America great again, but it very much serves our purpose, to my mind. And the third point I want to make is that when Mr. Trump is taking action on several things, particularly on climate, etc., there's a vacuum being created. And every crisis is an opportunity, to my mind. India must seize that opportunity. And the only way to do it is to use technology to leapfrog. And much like what we've done in digital public infrastructure, that we are ahead of the world. Data is owned by the citizens of India. We've created an open source model. We've created a open API. We've created globally interoperable model. Last 3 decades, all the big tech revolution in the western part of the world was carried out by Google, Facebook, Amazon, but they own the citizens' data. They own every citizen's data, which they use for artificial intelligence. And in China, Tencent and Alibaba. In India, we don't do this. The data is owned by the citizens because we have a digital empowerment protection architecture. You can't memorize data. That is the way the world will grow in future. Now, similar thing we need to do, open source AI to progress and create our own foundational models, use quantum computing to jump forward, and use the size and scale of India to technologically pole vault. And therefore, you will become the only way to grow at high rates is using technology to leapfrog. And that is a huge opportunity. We must become the clean tech manufacturing powerhouse of the world for the future.